For this project, you will need some 0.4 millimeter wire, possibly some 0.3 as well. You will need some size 11/0 seed beads of any type. They don't have to be your Mayukis, they can be any type. So you want some size 11/0s, and then some pearls. They can be various different sizes. They can be a 3mm or a 4mm, or you could use an 8/0 seed bead or a 6/0 seed bead instead, like I've done in this one. This one's got, should we zoom in a bit, look. This one has, I think that's a 6/0 seed bead. That one's got a 4mm pearl, and those ones have got 3mm pearl. So those have got a 3mm pearl. So you mix and match. There's no hard and fast rules. I've got to rearrange this, but okay. Yeah, anyway, what else will you need? You will need your floral tape, and you will need your embroidery silk, or any kind of thread that's, you know, not too thick, as a thick cotton or something like that. It's important to wrap your stems in those, because when you're putting them in and out the vase, or when you're handling them, this, you know, this floral tape isn't the strongest stuff in the world, and obviously subject to heat, temperature changes, it can get quite sticky. So it's really best to use that. So don't forget your embroidery thread, your floral tape, your beads, and your wires. That's about it. Some nippers for cutting your wire, or for the really thin wires, you can just cut them with like a crappy blunt pair of scissors will work. So that's your materials you're going to need for this. That's it really. Let's get started. Hello everybody, today I'm going to show you how to make these flowers. Last time we did the gypsum, and I've been doing some of that gypsum in pink, like a really pale pink. So I'm in the middle of working on some of that, just to show really that you can do it in any colour, you know, and then that's going to have more. And I've used pink wire on that one because I've run out of green now, so they will all be together in a big bunch eventually. So, you know, if you want to add to your gypsum, it doesn't have to be all the same colour. And these ones are Mayuki beads, these ones are not, so I don't know if you can tell a difference between them. I do think they're slightly neater, but not that much difference really, because it's that sort of thing, you know. It's but yeah, that's the extra colour I'm doing in the gypsum. But today we're going to make these, and I've done these with Mayuki beads. We're going a little bit closer. These little flowers, and then one of them I did a few individual ones and then twiddled them together to make like a top, and then they're going to be adjoined sort of like this, something like that. I'll zoom out a bit because I'm a bit too close, aren't I? You know, in any sort of order, just make them into and put them onto a stem. They're probably a bit bunched too close together, but you know, they'll be further apart probably. Make it up as you go along in a way. But yeah, so that's going to look really pretty. So I'll show you how I made these, and then you'll be able to add them to your bouquet. Yeah, they do look gorgeous, don't they, all bunched together like that. Really pretty. And then in the next one, I'm going to do these, and then the next video, I'll show you how to make these ones, which are more of a fantasy sort of thing. You could use these to make hair fascinators, you could put them in a hat, you could use these for a buttonhole, you know, with a little flower in front of it with these behind instead of the gypsum. They work really well, and they also work well as a filler in a bridal bouquet. But any sort of bouquet, because you could do these in any colours, you know, you could do them red or purple or yellow, whatever. So I've done these ones with silver wire, but I'll show you how to do those after we've done the flowers. So what I've done is taken, well, that's my one with my pals, hang on, yeah, we've got them all set up ready to go. So I have got about 45 inches of wire, and it's going to be similar to what we did with the baby's breath. In a sense, let's put some light on as well because I can't, it's not very bright. So right, so all we're going to do is, again, we're going to leave a tail like that. I don't know, about 5 or 6 inches, and then you're going to thread on some beads. Now for these little flowers, you can chop and change. So for the little white daisy looking ones, I'm going to take 3 green. 1, 2, 3 green. And 5 of the white, and then another 3 of the green. Like so. And I'm going to slide them down to where my tail's going to be. I have to go off camera to slide it down. Doesn't want to go down. It's a long piece of wire. Right, so I've slid them down. And we're going to do like we did before with the loops. I'm going to try and sort of bend it round so that it makes a round shape before I pinch it. If you see what I mean. Whereas if you just pinch it, it sort of goes almost to a point. So I'm trying to bend it around slightly first and then pinch it like so. And because I've done 5 beads, 1 bead should sit in the middle so it sticks out, so it looks more of a pointy leaf, or pointy, what do you call it? Not leaf, petal. And then I'm going to twist twice. I'm going to do 3 twists, actually that's not enough. 3 twists. And just like so. And we're going to do very similar to what we did with the gypsum. And we're going to do the same again. And we're going to leave same as we did with the gypsum, like a small gap. Just pinch your fingernail or your finger there, so you've got about a couple of millimeters or whatever between. And do the same again, picking up the 3. And then this time 5 white. Oops. 3. And if you did watch the other video, then this will probably come easy because it's very similar to the gypsum, as in we're doing a continuous loop, continuous loops. So kind of round it first and then pinch it nice and tight like that, and then twist 2, 3 times. I've done that, and then you can see you've got those little loops sitting beside each other, just like that. And we're going to do 5 of those to make the flower. So again, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, and then slide those down. And then we're going to pinch again, kind of curve it round so it's got that nice rounded shape. Sometimes you might have to pull it down like so to get it where you want it, and then pinch it and twist. 1, 2, 3, like so. like that. So we're going to do that 2 more times. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Slide them down. And again, try to sort of round it a bit first, like that. So it's got that rounded shape. I'm going to put my nails there. Sometimes you have to pull it down to make sure it's tight. Give it a pinch and twist. 1, 2, 3. That was a bit longer than the others, but never mind. And then one more. So we do 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3. Right, last one. Again, we're going to bend, curl it round, try and make it slightly rounded if we can. Pull before we pinch and twist. 1, 2, 3. That's quite long as well, never mind. Right, so you have that. Now what I'm going to do is take another piece of thread. This one's going to be, not thread, wire. I'm using a 3mm for this because it's slightly thinner. And I just want a short piece, just a few inches long. This stuff's so thin you can cut it with scissors. Don't do it with your good scissors though. Only with some crappy ones that are, you know, kind of broken anyway or whatever. And then I'm taking a 4mm pearl. I'm going to put that 3mm wire through the pearl. And then what I'm going to do is each side of the wire I'm going to bend it so that it bends over and then pinch in the middle. And then I'm going to twist it nice and tight. On about so far, like that. It's unnecessarily long. It doesn't really need to be quite that long, but it's better to have too much than not enough. Right, and then what I'm going to do is we're going to wrap this around in a circle. So before I do that, I'm going to place this wire and this bead in the middle right here. So it's going to sit in the middle. Then I'm going to take my working wire, not my tail. I'm going to pull these up slightly out of the way where my wires are. Right, pull them up slightly like that. And then we'll take my working wire. Doesn't matter if that's not quite in place yet. Take my working wire and wrap it around the tail wire at the base of your flower, like so. So I've wrapped it around here, holding on to both those wires, the one with the pearl in it. Now pull the pearl down nice and tight, like so, and then carry on giving it a wrap a couple of times around like that, around the base. So I've wrapped that around, and I'm going to take that working wire and I'm going to twist it together with these two. One's on the pearl and one is your tail. That's the pearl, the twisted one. That's the tail. That's my working wire that I've wrapped. I'm going to take those two and I'm going to twist them together like so. Those three rather. Like that. And I might just cut that one. Just give it another twist, a couple more. Right, and then we don't, oh, what have I done? I've twisted the wrong way. I've untwisted it, sorry. twist it a bit more, yeah, down to about there. It's about 1 inch, and then I'm going to get rid of the wire that was the one for the pearl, which has got a twist on it, so you just don't snip the wrong one. Don't do your tail or your working wire. All right, so that's your first flower. When we get to the end, what we do is we slightly bend over the top of each petal like that. And then pinch it back again. See how the tops are slightly curved over now? And I'll pinch it all together. And I'll just give it a little poke like that. But you can arrange them however you like. You can have them more open, more spread out, more. And then we're going to do the same like we did with the gypsum. What we're going to do is we've got the working tail there, sorry, and the working wire here. So we're going to do the same as we did with the gypsum. And if you haven't seen the video for that, I'll put a link in the description below. And I will also link in the description below the one for the rose. Each time I make a video for one of the flowers, I'll link in the description all the other ones that go with it for the bouquet. So you'll always be able to find the other flowers if I link them in the description of each video. So, right, so for the next flower, isn't it pretty? We're going to do exactly the same thing. So go away and do that. Well, I'll show you how to do the joining it actually. So we'll do a bud, like a little bud. So I'm going to do three of the green. I'm going to do 2 of the white and another 3 green. So we'll pull those down. Just in case you haven't watched the one on the gypsum, you won't know what to do next, but it's basically the same technique. So if you have watched the gypsum, you're probably going to find it easy. And then I've bent this working wire up, and I'm wanting that bud to sit sort of almost next to there. So I'm going to bend that over, pinch it together, and twist 2 or 3 times, like so. And then I'm going to bend my working wire over the top of that little bit piece that I've just made. And then I'm going to add 2 more. No, sorry, got to do the green first. 3 green. 3 green. 2 of the white. And instead of 3 green, I'm adding 4, like I did with the gypsum, because you have to allow for one sitting in the top, so you need that extra bead. Let those slide down. So you've got one there, and one that's going to pop over the top like so. Bend it over, so you've got that little bud. And then twist. Oops. Nice and tight. Right, so you can just go all the way with that one. And then twist those 2 together. And then twist your stem wire and your working wire. And then pull up again. And then this time I'm going to add another flower. So I'm going to do exactly what I did there, and I'm going to do it here. So take 3 of these. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to pull those down. And I'm going to try and make this wire come to about here, so that my flower sits just below this one. So I'll measure to about there. bring your beads down, and again try sort of rounding it so that it sits nicely, and then take that and twist. Do exactly the same, make another flower. So when you get to this point, join your 5 petals just like we did for this one, and then your bead in the middle. If you need to go back and watch again, do that. And once you've done that and you've got your flower sitting right here, before you do anything else, I'll come back and join you once you've got your 5 continuous loops in place. So I've got my next loop set of loops ready, and my thingy bead, what do you call it, pearl. So that's going to sit there, and then in the same way we did the others, the other one rather, just get those out the way, pop them upwards slightly like that, and then take my working wire and wrap it around the base there, being sure to pull that tail down on your pearl, you don't want it slipping out. Wrap that a couple of times around the base of the flower, and then pull it down, and then I'm going to take my wire from my pearl, my working wire, and then this little stem that it's on, and I'm going to twist all 3 of those together like so. Down to almost the end, and then I'm going to cut this one off. This is the one the pearl was on, you can tell because it's got the twist. So I'm just using these crappy little scissors because they're completely blunt now, and they work really well on that 3mm wire. Don't need the pliers. And the same again, so just bend over the top of your flowers slightly like so. Just give them a bit of shaping. Just bend that very tip, then pull them in again, and then just give them a little press. Just makes them look a bit more natural. And you can just really make this up as you go along. So next one, I think I'll just do another little green bud close to the stem, but I'm going to do a smaller one. So I'm going to do just 1, 2, 3, and actually I'm going to do 1 white bit in the middle, 2 green, 1 white, and 2 green. I'm going to slide them down, and then I'm going to pull this upward like so to about here. So my flower's going to sit my bud's going to sit just under my flower. I'm going to bend that over, pinch it, and twist. Oops. Twist. And that's just going to be a tiny weeny bud. Oops. Keep twisting that until you meet with the stem from the flower. And then once they meet up, twist your working wire in with the rest of the stem, like so. And just keep going like that. And when you get to the bottom of those 2, you're going to work your tail and your working wire, and you're going to twist those 2 together. And I like to always take these 2 flowers and give them a small twist, just strengthens up your stems a bit. And if your wire's sticking out from where you've cut off your little what do you call it, the tail from the pearl, just pull it around a bit and squish it in with your pliers so you haven't got that little tail sticking out. Give that a squish. And get rid of that little tail like that. So now we have a couple of flowers and a bud and another little mini bud. And you can really make it up as you go along. And what I mean by that is my next one, I'm going to twist down, look. Which way am I twisting? That way. Don't want to twist the wrong way. And untwist it. Wouldn't be the first time I've done that. So right, twist the stem down a bit. And if you've got green, obviously you can use green. I haven't. I'm using gold and silver for some of mine, and pink and purple and all sorts. So mine's going to be a fantasy bunch. So that's they look like little daisies or something, don't they look pretty? So then I'm going to bring the wire up, and then I'm going to do the same again. So I could either do another flower, a bud, a mini bud, but what I want to do is bring this wire up so that my next flower is going to sit sort of here. So I'm going to start it sort of about there, so leave that sort of length and start your next flower here. I'm going to do a flower, but I mean you really can, it's so flexible. I've done, on this one I did a couple of those little buds where I've just used 3, you know, things, beads, and I used a different pearl in there. On some of these ones I used a 6/0 seed bead for the middle instead of a pearl. So, you know, you can just sort of mix it up. On some of them I did, yeah, these red ones, I only did two green beads. Whereas on these ones I did 3 green beads, so it looks more green in the middle. So you can sort of mix, you know, mix it up. And then also on this one I just randomly use one of the pearls that I was using in the middle and did it on a little hoop here, just for fun and to see what it looked like. So you really, you know, it's not strict. And with the orange one I did a couple where I did slightly different colour orange for a couple of the buds. And I did the buds, you know, various different shapes and sizes. Some of them are just exactly the same as we did for the, so if you want a more in-depth on the buds, some of them will be exactly the same as what we did on the gypsum, the baby's breath. And like I said, the video link in the description below. So if you wanted more in-depth on, and then some of them I just did 4 petals and then just squished them together, literally just squished those together. There's no middle bead in there. So I just did the continuous loop of 4, wrapped it round, joined it together, twisted it, and then left it closed. Because obviously nature isn't each flower exactly the same or each bud exactly the same. Even though mine's not nature, mine's fantasy flowers. I need to tighten that twist up actually. If you find some of your twists look a bit loose and untidy like that one does, just give it an extra twist. There you go, that's better. And then obviously once you put them all together, you're going to put them all together and you're going to arrange them. So what I'll do is I'll go away and finish this one, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how I arrange them on the stalk. Very similar to the way we did the gypsum. Again, if you've watched that one, maybe you can wing it from here. If not, I'll show you how to put them all on the stem. And yeah, the link for the gypsum and the rose will be in the description below. So every time I make a new video for whichever flower goes with the bouquet, I'll add all the others in the descriptions below. So just to help, you know, because some of them, they're similar techniques, so save us going over and over things. But yeah, so I'm going to carry on with that until it's all done, and then I will come back and we'll put these on the stem and I'll show you how to do that. It's very similar to how we did the gypsum, but like I say, we'll do that so that each video, you know, is a complete process, so you can do it without having to be like, oh, if I need to finish this I have to go and watch another video. So I'll do that so that if you haven't done the other videos, you know, each one's complete. But like, and I'll link all the others below, so if you want to watch them, or if you want to make the whole bouquet like we're doing. So I don't know how many of you are going to do the whole bouquet, but I'm doing a whole big beautiful bouquet, which I'll, you know, put all together at the very end. So we're just going to do it in, you know, groups of the sets of the flowers and then put it all together at the end. So yes, carry on with that. Once you've done, I mean, mine are all different sizes. Look, this one's only got a couple on because I ran out of wire. This one's got a few more, so it really doesn't matter, you know. That one's got, you know, 2 different colours on it. And these ones were just individual ones, and I've just twisted them up to make like a top for my stem. So I make a few individual ones just to twist together for the top. And yeah, just keep going, and I will see you when you've made, I don't know, 1, 2, 4, 5, maybe 6 bunches of these. So just keep going until you've got a bunch, and then we'll put them together. Okay, so I finished mine, and I did mine kind of in different colours really. We'll zoom in so you can have a look. So some of these ones are part pink and part white, and they're slightly in a different green. So that's that little bundle. Right, so we'll zoom back out and we'll put them together. Let's just put these beads away. Hang on. See, those ones in here. Hang on a minute. I'm just going to clean my desk up, and then I'll come back and do it. You don't want to sit and watch me clean up all these beads. So, alright, so we're back. Take that bit of wire out of my mouth. I might be able to speak properly. Right, you'll need your 1mm stem wire and your tape, and if you've got some of your embroidery silk in it, well, green, any green colour, that's if you have embroidery thread. If not, you can use a thick cotton or any kind of thread that's sort of thin enough. You don't want anything too thick and bulky, because obviously you don't want your stem to be too bulky, but any kind of thread. I went ahead and separated the bunch that I'd already joined together and just left them in 2s, because these were just individual flowers. So I've just twisted them into 2 so you can see better what we're doing. Right, so I'm going to take my stem wire, and I don't think I'm going to use those ones for the top. I think I'm just going to use one of these. So I'm going to take this one, the one we've just made, and I'm going to place it, I'll drop my piece of wire, place it on my stem so that the stem sits kind of flush against the back, look. Up to, not all the way to the top, but it's about halfway up. It will depend on where you're, where you've joined your wires. So here I'm going to make it to the first V. So that first little V there in my stem, I'm going to make that stem wire sit there, just so you don't see it at the end. So I'm going to put it like so. So mine's going to sit like that. Okay. Zoom out a tiny bit so we can get a better picture of what we're doing. Right, and I've used 3mm because I don't want my stem to get too thick. So don't want to use the 0.4. Now what I want to do is I'm going to take a piece of my piece of my working wire, and I'm going to just lay it flat against my stem, and then I'm going to come back up so that way I can work my end in. And what I'm going to do is separate these branches down, move them out of the way, and then just start to wrap to the top there, can you see? And then wrap down. That will attach it to that stem nicely. Just keep working down. And then obviously you're going to come to the point where you're next to that wire. So I'm just going to pop that up out the way and keep going like so. Get that one out the way. And like I say, if it is optional if you do the thread afterwards or not. I did it on the gypsum. But you don't have to. Right, so that's that one secured on, look. So you've got one already on. And then we're going to start adding the others. This is what it looks like if you add the thread, look. With the embroidery thread. So you just go over the top of your wire with that embroidery thread. Excuse me. So then what we're going to do is add the next one. So I'm going to wind down a little bit further down my stem, like so. And then I'm going to add another one. And I think I'm going to add the red one. So what we'll do is decide where I've got a bead there, look. Somehow right, if this happens, somehow I've accidentally, look, got a bead in my stem. Didn't mean to do that. No problem. What you need to do is take your pliers. If this does happen to you, I must have dropped a bead somewhere there, and pinch it in your pliers, cover it up and break it. Forget these are glass, so that will break. And then just get rid of that somewhere where you're not going to tread on it. So yeah, I had a little bead stuck there, and that's left a loop, so I'm going to squeeze that in with my pliers. That's how you get rid of an unwanted bead. Right, let's get back to it. So I'm going to add that next, and all the time this wire, I'm just leaving that against my stem wire. I'm not going to cut that yet, because I want that to be nice and secure. So I'm going to take the next stem, and then you're just going to fiddle around and decide where you want it to sit. Do you want it right up the top like that, or do you want it a bit further down, or do you want it around the side to sit kind of in between? Just decide where you're going to position it. I'm going to position mine there, but also what I'm going to do is use those single flowers as a back filler. So I'm going to take these two blue ones, I'm going to put them in the back and add them at the same time as the red, and hopefully that will work. Yes, just keep wrapping them. Like so. And I am going to go over mine with the embroidery silk afterwards, so it doesn't have to be perfect with the green wire. Right, so that's the red one, and then I've got the blue ones at the back there. And then you can just, bend them around so that you can, we'll arrange them when we get to the end anyway, because you're going to be moving them around quite a bit. So, and then just bring this down your stem, and then add your next group, which, obviously is all up to you. This is the fun bit where you get to just kind of make it up as you go along, because you have to kind of work with what the beads, what the shapes you've got. So try and, use the ones that fit nicely against each other. If you try one and it doesn't fit, go for another bunch and try that one instead and see how that sits together. But I'm happy with the purple. So I'm going to join that one next. Go back up there, tighten that one up, and then back down. So like I say, this one doesn't have to be too neat if you're adding the embroidery silk afterwards, which I am going to do. Right, so I've gone down a bit. Go down a bit further, just twizzle it down. Right, and then add our next one. I think we'll do, should we do the orange next? Let that sit nicely there. You want them to sit nicely so there's not too many gaps, and so that you can see all the different colours. maybe I'll do the pink one. Maybe that one will fit better. Let's see, twist that one a bit. Bring that up over there. Try the pink. How is that gonna sit? Yeah, I think the pink will look nicer there. That'll sit better. I'll just bring it down a tiny bit. Up to there. Yeah, that'll do. Right, so I'm going to join that one. Where's my green wire gone? Oh, there it is. I've lost my working wire. Do not want to do that. Tangled it up a bit, but never mind. We'll get there. I have tangled it up. Right. There you go. Be careful not to tangle up your working wire. In fact, I'm gonna pull this flower down. I'm gonna start joining it from that stem there. Which way is my wire going? That way. Yeah. Right, so I'm gonna join it from up here. Just otherwise it's gonna be too loose and floppy. I don't want it floppy. And then work my way down. Oops, don't tangle up on your flowers. And then bring that flower back up. And then continue wrapping. And then just stop for a minute and check. Give it a little turn around, make sure you're happy with how they all sit. Yep, I'll need something to come up the middle there a bit. So maybe a bit of orange here at this side. No, maybe I'll just add those two in there. So there's something a bit more on the top. Those two there. So I might have to go back and add a bit of wire there, which will be fine. It's gonna be, yeah. So what I'm gonna do, I want them to be there. I'm gonna wrap back upwards, and these out the way. So you might not have to do this, but I think there's a bit of a gap there, so I'm going back the other way. Ideally, you don't need to do that, but I have to. So I'm not happy with it being a gap up the top here. So I'm going to make those two sit there. Sorry, I've gone out of frame, sorry. So I'm adding these two and going back upwards. And then back down again. That's why I'm using the really skinny wire, because, you know, you don't want your stem to be too thick. And this time I'm not doing loads of wraps, I'm just literally adjoining that one kind of loosely. Then get back down to where I was and wrap tightly, nice and tight. Right, so that has filled in that space up there, which is a bit of a back filler because I want this to kind of look like the front here. Yeah, and we'll spread them out once we've finished and shape them up. Right, last one then, we're going to add the orange. Looks like a lot of wire, doesn't it? Right, let's add the orange one. And I want that to sit kind of near. Orange and purple would look kind of cool together. They'll make each other pop, won't they? So maybe if I could, yeah, there, like that. And then maybe down a bit more, hang on. That one coming up the middle. That one can bend that way. You see what I mean about you have to fiddle around to decide where you think that they're going to fit best in your particular bunch. Right, so that's going to work like that for me. Where's my working wire? It's there. So I'm going to go up and around, bring it down between those two, and then over that one as well. So holding them both in place. Get them out of the way for a minute. I'm running out of wire. Bend that one back up. Just enough wire. And then wrap it down. I'm going to take one of these thicker wires, and I'm also going to wrap that around these ones. Oops, that one is a bit twisted. Right, let's wrap that one around. There you go. All wrapped up. That looks quite nice, doesn't it? Then we've got to do the tape, and then once we've done the tape, you can either do the fabric or not do the fabric, it's up to you, and then arrange them in place. So we just take our tape. Oh look, I've still got two left, two little flowers left. Stick them in somewhere. Let's just stick them in at the end. Yeah, they can go in there. Maybe a little up this side. Yeah. There. That looks pretty there, doesn't it? I'm going to need a bit more green wire. My tummy's growling. I think I need to go and eat some food. Let's get a bit more green wire. Didn't realise I missed those two little flowers out. So yeah, and if you have any spare wire, you can just make little individual flowers, or or keep it for wrapping, you know. It always comes in handy, those little bits of wire. Don't throw them away. And the same again, just fold a little piece to go down the stem. That way it gets worked in at the end. I'm just going to add those white ones in and wrap down. I mean, it depends what look you're going for. Maybe you just want to leave it with wire. You know, you don't necessarily have to have the floral tape to wrap it. You could just wrap it really neatly and tightly with your wire, and then you wouldn't need to use it. And I'm only going to use it for the stem. I'm not going to worry about these, you know, outer wires, because I just don't need to worry about that. Right, so that's, oh yeah, I like that. That's nice. I like those there. And then, yeah, take your, oh look, yes, very pretty. Bring those out a bit here as well, so it looks a bit more, yeah. Right, and then take your, what do you call it, floral tape, and it's sort of self-sticking, sticks to itself. So now, yeah, we're going to bend it all out of shape again. So this is where you arrange it at the end, you know, the best you can. Try to separate them down a little bit so that you can see your stem. Find your stem wire in there somewhere. You know, with to be honest, with these sparkly ones and fantasy flowers, you don't really need to put that wire, that tape on. I quite like the look of the different colour metals together, to be honest. So actually I'm going to leave this one. I will be doing the floral tape on these like I've done on this one. So yeah, if you want to know how to do the floral tape and then how to do this embroidery thread, go to the link in the description below and scroll through the video until you get to that point and follow it from there, and you can add that to this. But I actually don't want to. I quite like the fact that it's got all the different colours and that the colours are also woven into the stem. So I'm not actually going to do it. So I'll probably do it for some of the others. I'll do it for these ones, which will be the next video. I'll probably wrap them. Well, I say probably. I often make things up as I go along, so there's no guarantee of what I'm going to do, because you kind of have to go with the flow of the beads. Work with what the materials are telling you to do, because sometimes you have a plan and then you get to the end and think, actually I don't like it like that, and I change it. So you know, it really does depend on how it looks when you get there. I really love that look with all the different colours. So I'm actually going to leave it. And it's also, you've got to remember, it's going to be sitting. I'll do the bottom bit, but I'm not going to do that top bit because I quite like it at the top. But the bottom, obviously, we have to do because they're going to all sit in a vase, so you don't want them scratching each other. So I'm going to do the bottom half, but working in between, you're just going to do the same as you did with your wire, but like I say, it will be in the description below. I'm going to go from there. So take my sticky tape. It just sticks to itself basically, so I'm going to wrap that round nice and tight down to that join, and then one more. And then just keep twisting. I mean, obviously if you're wanting to make them ultra realistic, you would want to do this green all the way up, but that's not even going to show, is it? That top bit. And it's going to be in with other flowers, so I don't think we need it all the way up in the top there. Like I say, if you did want to do that up in the top, you just watch the video for the gypsum in the description below, and that will show you how to you're just doing what you did with the wire, separating out all your branches and working your thread and your tape through. I quite like the top as it is. I like all the shiny colours mixed together. So I'm just going to keep going down until I get to the end of my wires. Oops, that's got a bit folded, never mind. Never mind. All the way down. And I'll just always go a bit further than what I need, just because I don't want it to look a different colour if any of it's sticking out. I'm probably going to end up chopping quite a bit of the end of this off anyways, so get down to there, and you don't even need to cut it. If you just really pull it, it sort of sticks to itself and just, there you go, self-adheres, as they say. And how neat does that look? So I really don't think we need it at the top, do we? I think that looks fine as it is. It's a little bit on the back, but I'm going to arrange it so that it sits a certain way, you know, and that's going to be the front. Obviously you don't want it naked at the back, but so, and then you just go around and arrange the flowers how you want them, you know, how you want them to sit. And you've got to imagine it's going to be in that vase with all your gypsum and your roses and whatever else it is that you're going to make. It's just going to keep growing, and it's, you know, they're all going to sit together. So if you've made it this far, if you've done the gypsum and you've done this one, well done. And oh yeah, there's a bit more. We'll just do the embroidery silk, just in case you haven't watched any of the other ones, and if you haven't, and obviously you know how to do this bit. So this green, there isn't a matching green really. That's a darker green, isn't it? Yeah, that might match. Let's try that one. I don't know where the one I used last time is. I've obviously stuck it somewhere, but I don't know where. So, and you can separate this. I mean, it separates into 4, but I just find it takes 10 times longer to do that, and yeah, I'd rather not. So same again, we're going to put it, oops, sorry, did I make you seasick? Take a piece of the thread and lay it across your stem. That way you're going to work in your end without a knot. And I might just separate one of them and go around behind these flowers just one time to give it a something to anchor it to a bit, like, that makes sense. Right, so I've wrapped it once around that stem of those 2 white flowers, and then I'm going to bring it down and try really neatly so there's no gaps in between your embroidery silk, which is more important, especially when you get it on the stem, and if your thread's not a matching colour, because you might not have a matching colour. Well, the last one I used, I think I used a colour that matched the stem, so not the green tape. Am I in frame here? Yeah, I am. Phew, I was thinking, oh my gosh, how much have I filmed without being in frame? You see what I mean? You're just going to twist it like that and try not to tangle any flowers. And sometimes you're going to have your stem a little bit thicker than ideal. I didn't really want my stem this thick, but that bit there is quite thick. I'm going to try twisting. If you can get to a point where you can just twist, that makes it a lot easier. And bend that one back up. See, there's your tail, look. And you're just going to keep working that in, and eventually that will go in. You won't need to tie a knot. Only when you get to the end, yeah. So just to keep twisting like that until you get all the way down to the end of your stem. I'm not going to go all the way to the end. I'll meet you when I've finished and meet you at the other end. Okay, so I've gone over the edge onto my stem beyond my tape work, and then what I'm going to do is make a knot around the stem once, twice, three times a lady. Right, 3 times round. Oh, a bit loose. That's right, let's shove that up a bit. Right, so that's nice and tight now. And then what I'm going to do is, let's put this on a tray because I don't want to get my mat ruined. I'm going to take my Gorilla Glue. I'm going to take a toothpick. I'm going to take a tiny bit of my Gorilla Glue and I'm going to glue over those knots. And then I'm going to leave that to dry, and then I'll cut the tail off after it's dried. So take a tiny blob of glue like that onto your toothpick. Stick your lid on. Right, which way is it going? Over that way. Right. And then just add that glue to your knots. That's where you did those 3 knots. Sorry. Just try and go all the way around so that it's glued on all sides, and that will make it completely solid, and you know it's not going to come undone. And just leave the tail for now and don't cut that off till it's dry. You don't want to get glue on your scissors, and you don't want it to come undone before it's dry. So leave the tail, get rid of your stick. Excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. So that's what it should look like. Mine's a bit loose, it's not as tight as it could be. because I'm rushing to get this video done for you guys. It should look nice and neat like this one. You can see how tidy that one is, a lot neater. And there's my tail, which I haven't removed because I glued it in the last video actually, so there you go. Let's cut that one off. When it's dry, you do the same with that one. Cut your tail off. Excuse me, I need a drink. I forget to hydrate myself. Right, there you go. So that's what your stem should look like. My one is slightly loose, but doesn't have to be perfect. And then, yeah, leave it. What I do is I put a hook in the end like that, and I hang it up somewhere from a hook and just leave that to dry. And then tomorrow I'll come back and I'll, you know, rearrange, fiddle around with my flowers, get them exactly how I want them. And then I'll leave all my flowers hanging up ready to put together in a bouquet. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, play around, try different beads. Try, you know, you don't have to be strict. You know, you can try different beads, different combinations, try different numbers of beads. Maybe just do 1 green at the bottom and more colours for your petal, or 2 or 3. I've done combinations of all sorts. These ones have 3 green, these ones have 2 green. And like I say, these ones, that's just a bunch, you know, 3 petals there, not 4, sorry, 3 petals just squished together. And these are the 5 petal flowers. You know, it's you can really mix it up, and I think that's going to look beautiful, especially once you mix it, you know, in with the other flowers. Look at that. Incredible, lovely, beautiful. I love it. Right, okay, guys, have a great day. Happy beading. Stay inspired, stay creative, and I will see you all in the next video for this one, and all the links will be in the description for the rose, for this. So, and I'll do that with each subsequent video, mix them all up, you know, in the description, so you've got everything all together. I don't know if I've even made sense what I'm trying to tell you there. Just take no notice. See you all in the next video. Bye for now. Just trying to picture them all together. Oh yeah, that's beautiful, isn't it? Oh, what fun. Yeah, I like that. I really like that.